Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're like me, you've probably just got FIFA 22 and you're looking for a cool challenge to start off with your main save for the year. Well, this is the perfect video then, because I actually have 5 good challenges that you should consider for your first FIFA 22 save. We got some saves that will take you months to complete, some that you could probably finish in an afternoon, so no matter what you're looking for, this is going to have something for you. If you don't like the challenge that I'm talking about at any point, check along the bottom, I've put chapters in so you can skip to one that maybe is a bit more interesting for you. Anyway, let's get started straight away with one of the most popular ones, and that is the Pentagon challenge. The main goal of the challenge is to win as many continental competitions as you can. The most common way to do this is starting in New Zealand, moving to Asia, then South America, North America, and finally Europe, just because of the way that reputation works in the leagues on FIFA. For North America, you'll probably have to use national teams because there isn't actually a continental cup yet, and there's actually no way to do the Africa section anymore because they don't even have the national teams that I suggested you do on last year's version of this video. So you might be wondering how this works, so I'll give an example of a way that your career could work. You could start off with Wellington Phoenix in New Zealand. If you win the Continental Cup that you qualify through the A-League, then you'll have technically won Asia and Oceania because you won the Asian competition with an Oceanian team, which I don't think they're actually eligible to do, but still, it works in FIFA. From here, you could move to either Argentina or Brazil, win the Copa Libertadores, and then move to USA, where you'd be able to win the MLS. Because there's no continental competition, maybe you take over the United States men's national team, and then you instead win the North American competition that you can do with them. Finally, you could move to somewhere like France, Germany, or England, try and win the Champions League, and from there, you've ended up winning the Oceania, Asia, South America, North America, and European continental competitions. This is technically 5, and as this is the Pentagon challenge, I would say this completes it. However, in most other games that you can do this in, like Football Manager and PES, then you do actually have to win something with African teams, something that unfortunately EA has decided to remove from the game. So it's up to you to try and figure that one out. Possibly you could try and win a different cup competition with all African players, for example. I'll let you decide, and do let me know if you decide to do the save in the comments below. I'd love to see which teams you pick along the way. If you fancy a challenge that has a little bit more of structure, then try the Clough challenge. I've made a full video on this, similarly to the Pentagon challenge video, which you can check out by clicking the card in the top right hand side of the screen now. But the main goal of the challenge is to take over one of Forest and Derby with the goal of beating his 2 European Cups. You have 5 years to get to a semi-final of the European competition that you decide to do this in. You could do it with the Europa League if you want an easier time, or the Champions League if you want a really tough challenge. This is because Clough actually managed to do this with both teams. He took over Derby when they were in the 2nd division, got them promoted, and from there he managed to get them really deep into European competitions within the 5 years. For Forest, it was even more spectacular. After a poor first season, the 2nd season they got promoted, the 3rd season they won the Premier League, the 4th and 5th season they won the Champions League. So if you can do this replication in FIFA, you're going to absolutely be a Forest legend. And then I'd put you on the same level as Clough for my favourite team. If you want to go fully hardcore, you could even try and replicate the maximum fee that Clough ever spent on a signing, which is £1 million. So if you can try and win the Champions League while not signing a player for over 1 million, then you've absolutely smashed this challenge. A less popular challenge than both the Pentagon and the Clough challenge is the Corinthian challenge. So the Corinthian spirit basically is a way of playing football as a gentleman. The Corinthians dominated football from 1863 till 1885, and they decided they would never stoop as low as to try a dirty trick on an opponent. This means when they were fouled and they got a penalty, the first thing they would do is blast it wide or pass it straight to the opposition goalkeeper, because they didn't think that a gentleman would ever do a deliberate foul. This meant that any foul that they received, they viewed as a mistake. They didn't want to take advantage of a mistake because that's not what a typical British gentleman would do. If you want to do this challenge, you'll probably have to create a club and name it after Corinthian Casuals, which is the current iteration of the Corinthian club that used to exist. The goal should be winning the league while getting as few yellow cards as possible. If you want to go hardcore on this challenge, I would recommend terminating contracts of anyone who either scores a penalty or gets a red card. They do still call football the gentleman's game, and it's mainly because of Corinthians back 150 years ago and their spirit towards gentlemanly conduct. So it really is a historical challenge, and do read up on Corinthian FC if you decide to give this a go. On the total opposite side of the Corinthian challenge, the fourth one on this list is doing either the Millwall, Leeds or Wimbledon challenge. So they're the exact opposite of Corinthians, with the goal trying to get as many yellow and red cards as possible while also winning the Premier League. All of these teams had success with very aggressive football, so you're going to need to sign some high aggression players, start diving into challenges, and maybe taking players down when you're the last man just to prevent a goal. This challenge is based around the reputation of these teams back in the 1990s, and there was actually a really good thread on the Football Manager Games subreddit for Football Manager where somebody made all his players super aggressive, only signed dirty players with diving into tackles as a trait, and just tried to get as many yellow cards as he could while getting them promoted. It was a really interesting read, and that's what I've based this challenge around. Players like Vinnie Jones were a madman who played in midfield, and it seemed like he only played so he could legally hurt other people. The Crazy Gang, which is Wimbledon's nickname back in the 90s, did actually manage to win the FA Cup against Liverpool using these very high intensity tactics. So it's going to be up to you to try and keep this aggression level high, try and dive into as many tackles, get as many yellow cards as you can, while also having an effective team. Be prepared to have a deep squad because I can imagine the suspensions are going to add up. Speaking of someone who needs a very deep squad, the Pep Guardiola challenge is a little bit different to all of the other ones. What you're going to want to do is take over a B team or a second team from either the Spanish or German leagues, because I believe they're the only ones that have these in them. So you've got a couple to choose from. You've got Dortmund and Freiburg in the 3 Liga in Germany, or you've got Sociedad B in the Spanish second division. The goal is to work your way up to manage the main team that you've taken over. So if you start off with the Dortmund second team, you could probably try and get them promoted once and see if you can get the job at Dortmund in the second or third season. Same with Freiburg or Sociedad, where it's going to probably be a bit easier. So once you've worked your way up to the main team, it's time to achieve what Pep Guardiola's done. So he's got 5 domestic cups in 3 countries, and he's got 9 league titles in the same 3 countries. So this is Spain, Germany, and England. If you want to switch countries to do this, feel free. But if you want to do all of this at the same team that you started off with, again, feel free. 9 league titles in 15 seasons is going to be difficult, especially because it might take you around 4 or 5 seasons to even get to that first team. So you'll have 1 season to rebuild, and then you'll have to win everything for the next 9 seasons. And if you do that, all you've done is equal Pep Guardiola. It really does show how good he is in real life. So maybe try and take over some of his tactics, see if you can implement it, and see if you can become the next Pep Guardiola. So that's 5 of the best challenges that I think you should start off your FIFA 22 career mode with. If you've got any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments, because I know from your comments in the past that you guys have much better ideas than me. So if you've made it this far in the video, hit like and check out the comments below. Subscribe if you want to see more challenges or guides, and hopefully I'll see you very soon for my next video. Thank you, cheers, and goodbye.